Fucking hell.
All right, I think
Right.
we might be live now. All right.
We are.
Good
We are.
evening, good morning, everybody. It's the Thursday Night Forum. Pull up a chair, y'all. Welcome here. Thanks for joining. I think we are live. I'll double check all of that stuff, but let's get started with the introductions. Stan, Alonzo, and Tony, how we doing tonight?
Yeah, good evening,
Well,
everyone.
don't all answer
See
at
you.
once.
Looking
Go ahead,
forward to
Stan.
chatting
How are you
tonight.
doing? Yeah, hopefully we don't have any technical difficulties.
Hey everyone,
Tony.
welcome to the show.
Yes. I would be
All right, Tony.
better if I didn't mow over a bunch of clover outside that fucking triggered my asthma. But other than that, I'm all right.
Other than that. Okay. We are live. All right, Stan. Let's kick it off. The lead has evaporated. It seemed like only days ago, we had a 9-point gap. That was the buffer that we talked about all season. Disappeared, and now it's a straight shootout till the end with Manchester City.
Yeah, and just like you said, it's to the end. We may not like what chaps have been on today, but it's not over yet. Yeah, we can be disappointed, and we could have got into that game with a 12-point lead at one point, and had that cushion, but we didn't. But we're still hanging in there. It's still not mathematically impossible for us to win this. So, yeah, we can be frustrated, but I mean, it's a season. The season's not finished yet. No matter how disappointing, or you can't be like, oh, it should have ended last week. It doesn't work like that. What happens if it gets to the last day of the season, and on the last day, both Arsenal and Man City get the same score, so it's the same amount of points, and let's say we've both scored the same amount of goals for, so then it goes to goals against, and we win that by 1, and we win the league. I'm still going to be happy about that. I'm still going to celebrate winning the league. So, I'm still still got to be optimistic. It's not over yet. But I will say, I will say as well, I will say that going into that game against Man City, a friend of mine was coming in from the States, and he was talking about going down to the pub on the morning to watch that game. And I was thinking about it. My missus said to me, "Are you going to go down? You going down the pub then to watch that game?" And I went, "Nah." And she went, "Why not?" And I said, "Because we're going to lose." And she looked at me really like startled. She said, "Why do you say that?" And I said, "Because I think they got a better team than us." So that's simple. That's how I honestly felt about it going into that game. Out loud in the streets, I'd be saying like, we'd be lucky to get a draw, and I'll take a draw. Obviously, you want the win, but really behind closed doors, I didn't, and I don't want to be down the pub when we lose, right? I don't want to be around all that commiseration and having to get that bus journey home. And I'd rather, if I know that we're going to lose the game, I just rather deal with it on my own, right, in my house. So I knew going into it, really, that we were going to not. And the thing is, for me, I've always said that I understand that, during the course of the season, you're going to lose games. And for me, it's always about the manner of the loss. And I think if you take that game in isolation, I won't be looking back if we lose the season and pinpoint that as the game where we threw it away. I'd be more inclined to look at the game before that at Bournemouth and identify that as a place maybe where we could have done better. And I think that on the day with that Man City game, I think that I think the players gave it their all and they played to the best of their ability. The problem is, maybe some of those players' best ability isn't what is required to win this league. They're doing their best, but
Hi, Stan.
all right, did you lose me?
Yeah, you're back now.
I'm just saying that maybe that, you know, their best. We need more than that.
Yeah, we are having some connection issues, but I got most of what Stan was talking about. Yeah, I mean it's no disgrace to lose to Manchester City, to Pep Guardiola, and at the Etihad. But looking at the entirety of the game, the frustrating part is that we had the chances, we had the luck did not go with us, and we had. If you really want to be bitter about it, which I'm going to be, it didn't have the best referee in the situation where, okay, Gabriel could have been sent off, but it is also um, allowing wrestling and rugby to happen in the penalty box between Holland and Gabriel. But we'll go to Alonso for your take, Alonso. What were your thoughts over the weekend, the last few weeks, especially?
Yeah, but unlike Stan, I already go to the pub and watch the match, and whenever we go with your pals, and my mom went with us too, and it's like it's so demoralizing. First of all, losing Bournemouth the way they did, it seems like they weren't up for it, and it's like almost as if, again, Bournemouth are a good team and they played us really well. However, whenever you're a title contender, you're supposed to win those kind of games, in my opinion. And I was talking to Tony earlier about the matches that we should have won, and then we drew two teams that we should have beaten, like Wolves, like Nottingham Forest, like even Liverpool. They got the best of us one game, and then we drew against one day. So there are a number of games in which we should have won on paper. And it seems like this time of year, you get those replays in the back of your head on teams that we should have beaten. And, it's a case that again, where we lose to Bournemouth, and then Arsenal are expected to win at Manchester City, who's had their worst year statistically in a long time, and we're supposed to win there and get points. Well, that didn't happen. And, per usual, they play well enough to get points, or at least a draw. But they're unlucky there at some points of the game where they had goals, but then hit the post. Or in Havertz's case, his header was off target by a little bit. So it's frustrating as a fan because we know we could beat them, but there's always that one thing that's gone wrong. In this case, Megalesh getting involved with Howland and all that. But the referee was kind of bad because, to me, if you're going to grab onto someone's shirt to score a goal, that's a foul, in my opinion. So, in hindsight, they should have done better. I think O'Reilly had a good run there, ball by himself, running about, and nobody's able to stop him. So you could pinpoint the reasons why we lost that game, but you also got to figure that we didn't embarrass ourselves to keep on pushing to the very end. However, it's still a tough pill to swallow, knowing that we're almost there.
Yeah, totally. It's been many years since we went to the Etihad and won a game. I think 13 years now, 13 seasons. I think it was 18 months ago last year when we started the campaign. Almost got out of town with a 2-1 win, conceded in the 97th minute. This game against Manchester City, I was encouraged by the lineup. Let me say I was encouraged by the lineup. It was the best lineup that we could put out there. Outside of Urian Timber and Bukayo Saka, who were injured, we had Makera coming in and Hincapi as our fullbacks. And I was, I think the word is, I was encouraged by that. I was encouraged by Eze, and I was encouraged by Odegaard and Eze in what was seemed to be an attacking lineup. But other than that, that's where the good parts of that game sort of fade away. This manager, I'm sure we'll be talking about Mikel Arteta in this podcast as we do every podcast. But this manager continues to lean on the players that he likes and lean on the players that he feels are best uh, for the team. And for me, anyway, I don't know about the rest of you, but for me, he's got to be auditioning for the privilege to be the manager of Arsenal next year in these final games of the season. For me, that's how far I've come with Mikel Arteta. Alonso, did you want to? Or are you saying hi?
Oh, ahead BX.
BX Gunner's in the house. Thanks for joining, BX Gunner. Okay, Tony, we'll get you in. What's next, Tony? What have you got?
But finally, my turn. I'll start with. I thought refereeing was fine. It was even on both sides. It looked like it does in playoff hockey or playoff NBA. Even NHL and NBA play that way. You got the top two teams playing, so you let that go open. I mean, if you want to get down to it, Gabriel could have got 2 yellows, one for ripping his shirt off.
Yeah.
I mean, so they were both tugging at each other the entire time. I have no problem when a referee lets him play him, where there's no serious fouling going on, and just try to get an advantage by overpowering. And a lot of that stuff, you can use your arms. It's just the way you use them. But to me, that's not part of it. Arsenal has lost 5 out of their last 7. So if that's your qualification to go into the next season being the manager, you fucking fail. There's no excuses for it. He's ran the players into a ground like he's done 4 out of the last 6 years, posed no challenge in March, April, and May. We've had it before. It's about April 25th. We were up by 7 points and we lost the league. Now we're behind and we got to catch them. It's going to be tough. I just don't see it happening because the way he plays the players, the way he uses them. You have Saka that was pissed off that he wasn't part of the game. Didn't travel, so we'll see his availability during the weekend. But there's enough time off between these games where players should be able to get enough rest. But what got me is you go with Havertz, but you're going to play pressing, counter-attacking football. That makes 0 sense to me. But when your objective is to make runs past the defenders, then you get your best player at doing that. Will win the league of the most runs. And I don't know why you didn't go with Victor Gyökeres there. I just don't see why going for Part B, especially when he's been scoring lately. Up to 18 goals. He could add some more if Arteta played him, but instead he goes with Havertz, which never looked like he's threatening the goal. I think Gabriel probably had the best shot. We have him going off the post. You start the game with the energy you need, but like I said, you have a wrong player up there leading the line. And I just don't understand. The tactics make no sense based on the players that you have out there.
We have... yeah, go ahead. Anything more, Tony?
No, it's just not good enough in the end. I don't care if they gave one good performance, but the last 6 or 7 have been lacking. So
yeah, very lackluster. We've highlighted this throughout the season. The problem we have in the supposed striker position. We talked about Gabriel Jesus not being adequate enough. We talked about Mikel Merino being the player that could be clutch in the moment, but he's injured. Maybe he'll come back for toward the end of the season, but won't be able to make a significant um, contribution to the end of the season. And then we come to Kai Havertz and Victor Gyökeres, and it seems to me like we need to Frankenstein the best qualities of each player in order to have a number nine that we could put on the field and be confident about. We talked about this through the season. If Kai Havertz had been injury free throughout the season or had played as many games as Victor Gyökeres, he may well have scored as many goals as Victor Gyökeres at this point. But yeah, neither. I think it's pretty much a fact that he would have got about 15 goals this season. Kai Havertz would have. He had the same amount of time as Victor Gyökeres. With the fact that we're all going to be of different opinions here on this podcast tells us that neither one has separated themselves from each other in terms of the striking position. I can't put my hand on the heart and say Kai Havertz is better than Victor Gyökeres. I can't also say the same thing about Victor Gyökeres over Kai Havertz. So we have this funny catch-22 here, and not able to lean back on Mikel Merino because he's out injured. So
I would say that the goal that Kai Havertz scored, where he nicked the ball off of Donnarumma, I don't think Gyökeres scores that goal. I don't think.
Yeah, I would say he wouldn't close down as quickly as Kai Havertz did. But on the other hand, Kai Havertz has got his fingerprints on the miss that he had in the middle of the second half and right at the end. You've got a free header. You're playing for Arsenal Football Club. You've got a free header.
The two actions which you mentioned, that then reminds you of that's why I decided that with the striker, because of the inconsistencies, right?
Yes. Kai Havertz
was on the bench for that game, so what does that mean?
Yeah, and Victor Gyökeres only comes on for 10 minutes at the end of the game. We are
as a manager, as a night. Or was it mainly
the whole context?
Or did he feel that the gameplay of Havertz suited this more because of the opposition?
I would have to feel that's what he was thinking. I would have to feel that's what Mikel Arteta was thinking in this.
Does it just not go down to his favoritism? He's got the player he likes. He loves Jesus. He loves Kai. He hates fucking. He hates Norgard. I don't think he likes Victor too much.
I would say hate is a harsh word, but he's definitely not used Norgard as much as he should have. And here we are.
56 Premier League minutes, right? Or 46, whatever it is.
Yeah, and here we are.
Less than 60.
Situation where the commentators are saying Arsenal got their worst win percentage in the month of April under Mikel Arteta. And Pep Guardiola,
it's atrocious.
Pep Guardiola has the best win percentage in the month of April. That tells you that you have not. That tells us that the manager has not used the resources of the players in the other 6 months of the season. Alonso, make some sense out of it.
Yeah, I mean, like Tony's always saying how Arteta doesn't rotate enough, and you see it every year. He brings in these players that you assume will get more playing time when there's a rotation, but it's quite interesting how now, whenever we have injuries, he still continues on using them. Or in Saka's case, he's so burnt out that he's eventually going to get hurt, and for a long period of time, as well as Odegaard, as well as Rice, as well as Ben White, as well as Timber, Calafiori. All these players have been hurt for a long period of time now. And
Kai Havertz.
Kai Havertz as well. Gabe Jesus. Everyone in this team currently has been hurt for short term or long term. and you pinpoint these players off your checklist or list you have, and Berta has gotten them for you, but yet you still don't play them because you play favoritism. And now you're stuck with who you have now. And to Tony's point, Newgard is a captain who's a former captain of Brentford, but yet you don't value him enough to play him. You play Ben White, who's of course going to be not as refreshed because you wait so long to rotate him in. Of course, he's going to make mistakes. And then on the left, you have Himpake, and you have Calafiori, who's always hurt. Seems like, so you're forced to play Miles Lewis-Skelly. Miles Lewis-Skelly does not makes mistakes too because he doesn't play much because you brought player in to back Calafiori up, and now they're both hurt, so you have to use Miles Lewis-Skelly now, and it's just so unfortunate that the players he's bought don't fit in, or they don't play enough, or they're forced to get played because your stars now hurt now. So it's a mess, and at some point, it's going to cost Arteta his job because he refuses to do so. He refuses to rotate, and I want to see how good Norgard can be on this team, but yeah, it hasn't worked out.
Yeah, the perception is in the Premier League, and maybe Mikel Arteta was trying to do this. Use your best players in the first half of the season, get into a commanding position, and try to sprinkle in some players like Norgard, Miles Lewis-Skelly, to through the Christmas period and the New Year, in order to give your players a breather and a break. Stan, it seems like something that Mikel Arteta has not yet been able to perfect. It at least looks that way from the outside. He's not been able to perfect the correct balance of getting his best players fit in April and May.
No, it seems to be an ongoing kind of a trend, and far too often you're looking at some players and thinking this guy needs to have some sort of rest. That doesn't seem to be. I mean, it was Saka for ages. He'd be still playing and seeing games out. We're very comfortable in this game now. Why can't we take? So I don't know. Maybe he doesn't trust his alternatives, but I do think it was quite telling that in the last game he started as on the left, which we haven't seen since the Aston Villa game, where he didn't have such a good day out against Matty Cash on that particular day. But it seemed like Arteta wanted to get Eze, Odegaard, and who's the other one? Havertz into the same team.
Yeah. I thought Eze acquitted himself quite well. Obviously, hit the upright as well around the 60-minute mark. When we had that flurry before the Man City goal, we looked quite threatening.
I mean, I was surprised that he was the one that came off, but maybe there was something about his fitness that we don't know about.
I know, but
you would think that's not the case. That I thought he was the one that is still that player that can maybe get something out of nothing. With the minutes are right.
Yeah. Martin Odegaard was the player who had returned from injury, but he was able to get much more minutes than Eze Sunday. So for me, something doesn't ring true there. Eze was more inventive, was more busy for me, was more purposeful, and created more of a threat than Martin Odegaard. I mean, unless I'm missing something, a lot of people extol the virtues of Martin Odegaard, and say that they feel we play much better with him in the side. I'm just going by the eye test, Tony. What do you think? Is Martin Odegaard worthy of maintaining his position in the team?
It depends on the formation. If they're going for a 4-2-3-1, probably not, because I think Eze's better up there. I think Kai Havertz can probably do a better job than him, but I would go with Eze personally. But
Yeah,
I,
and it's
I mean,
striking. Eze looks
for
better
Ben,
than Martinelli and Trossard in that position. We haven't we really need to go into the summer and look for a left wing upgrade, something that is really beyond the
left
Martinelli,
wing,
beyond the Trossard, beyond the Eze.
right wing, left back, right back.
Yeah.
Lots of players.
Let's go through a few comments. The inverting must be reduced by 75%. We need to let our midfielders run their game. And there's a whole question about control and Mikel Arteta's lack of allowing his players to just play. The inverting just leaves us exposed at the back time and time again. I don't know if I particularly agree with that. Go 4-4-2, balls to the wall. That says BX Gunner. Wazu Skelly would be a better defender without having to cover too much ground, backtracking after inverting. And Mikel Arteta does ask our players, especially the wingers and fullbacks, to do a lot of running up and down that wing. That or just side of midfield, and the inverting.
And that's why Ben White cannot be our right back because he's just that hold up doing all that running.
Yeah.
Well, he's done well prior, Tony. I think that the link up play between him and Saka and Odegaard were good once upon a time, but
What's
unfortunately,
that?
when injuries happen, then you're reduced to that kind of game where Ben White has been the same.
Was that Alonso? Was that more particularly when Partey was in the team as well?
I believe so. I think when I think they had this argument on Gary's podcast about who would you really prefer, Ben White or excuse me, sorry, Zubimendi or Thomas Partey. Now, when we got Partey, he was much older and established, whereas Zubimendi was a little bit younger, and he was really good at Real Sociedad. However, I think Partey's first year he was always hurt, to whereas Zubimendi is continuing to play on a certain level. At that point, Arteta has overused Zubimendi. I'm sure everyone can agree on that. Well, so I think whenever you have new players on the team playing a different style, then basically your whole team midfield dynamic changes, and that's including whenever the fullbacks invert into the midfield. However, it was not until the final third that Ben White started inverting, causing overlaps and this and that. So Ben White does invert better than Timber. However, Timber is better as a defender. But yeah, I think Partey not being around you much longer. I think Zubimendi is going to take longer to adapt because he is younger than Partey this first year at Arsenal compared to Partey's. So I'm hopeful that Zubimendi will become even better next year.
Yeah.
Because if Arteta is going to stay on next year, he's got to fix this rotation problem.
Yeah, for sure. BX Gunner says here, Odegaard is unfortunately crumbling under the pressure Arteta's put him under. Tony, Odegaard, is it too big? People have asked this before. Is the captaincy too big of a role for him? I remember.
No.
So you think he can handle playing for Arsenal and being captain of the club?
Yep, but to me, the problem is still Arteta changed the formation, and that's why Odegaard was getting the goals and assists because he's up front. Then he became a right-sided midfielder, which Arteta wanted him dropping back, and with all the inverting. What did Dixon call him that I told you, Ray? He
What did
used a different
Lee
term.
Dixon? What did Lee Dixon call him?
No,
Huh?
yeah, he used a different term for it.
I can't remember.
You have to check your messages, Ray.
Um, the
But
the
but 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 I think he has the skills to make the goals and do assists. But just he has
the
a different role, and that's not the correct role for him. It's not the correct role. For me, with the Gugares, you have to have the attacking midfielder back behind him. So he can sit there and make the runs that he does. And people can get him the ball because he hardly ever has any fucking touches.
the snippet that I keep seeing and replaying in my head is there's a meme. Maybe it's a meme of Declan Rice on the floor sitting down at the final whistle, and he sees Odegaard coming toward him, and he tells him, "You can read the lips, right? It's not over." Oh no, no, it's not over. You know, trying to once again, Declan Rice trying to put some wind back in our sails. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts on that, Alonso? When you see Declan Rice come under spotlight in the last couple of games against Sporting, he was asked about the title race and how we were doing before the Man City game, before Bournemouth, and now and again the cameras seem to hone in on Declan Rice more than any other player.
Yeah, I think that in due time, I think Rice will be a great captain for Arsenal for numerous reasons. But I think Odegaard, I don't know why Arteta felt to put the captain's armband on Odegaard. I think to me, Rice demands more respect. He demands a locker room. I think he demands a lot out of the players. I mean, he says it on the pitch and on the media. Um, Odegaard is just one of those captains that leads by example. And sometimes, if you stay, if you're a silent captain, well, he does talk on the field. But I think it's time that Arsenal go back to the English captain. I think Tony Adams was that captain for Arsenal, and I think to me it's better suited on an English player. I think Saka had that role a little bit, but I think Saka's different. Um, and that's not a bad thing either. Though I do favor Rice over Saka as captain. I think Saka is a good vice captain. But that being said, I think that he's a face now. I think Declan Rice is a face based on performance and
Face Arsenal.
based on his teammates. I think Odegaard just hasn't been up for it physically and mentally. I think that his best season was like 4 years ago. Now he's on decline, and that's unfortunate because I know he could do better than that. He just doesn't want to, or at least he seems kind of stubborn. I think as a player not the same, and I don't know why. I don't know what changed or what is going on. I just think he tends to think too much, and he doesn't want to. I don't know. I think something's holding him back. I think it's Arteta.
Yeah. We're going to get into that a little bit tonight. Mikel Arteta and the way he set up the team, the way he sets teams up, and some of his gimmicks. He needs to, it's getting to the point of where, like I was saying in the title, bring me the title, Arteta. At this stage, you must bring the title to Arsenal fans. BX Gunner said, right now we're literally neck and neck with City. It's the last 5 hurdles to the finish line. We must clear those hurdles cleanly. Tony, it's all 5 games in the league now will be in London. Will be
Yep.
Arsenal at the Emirates. They go away to the last 3 games will be um, away to West Ham, at home to Burnley. I'm holding this shirt here. from Arsene Wenger's final home game at home to Burnley. You know, so maybe we could win the league on the final game on the final home game of the season at home to Burnley. That would have a resonance with um, our connection to Arsene Wenger. Or Tony, what more fitting way would it be than to win the league at Selhurst Park, Tony? Have you thought about that?
Nope. I'll definitely put up your anagram
It would be a lovely place to win the league at Selhurst Park. I know Stan when he was young a young kid, he was taken when he decided to follow Arsenal. He went to Selhurst Park to see Crystal
Newcastle.
Palace play Arsenal and Liam Brady, and the rest is history for Stan. So Crystal Palace has some significance for Stan as well. Alonso, any significance for you in the final 5 games of the Premier League coming up?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that the boys will be up for it. I think that whoever's captain will lead the team to hopefully over the line. But we all know Arteta will probably more likely tell them to defend, probably someone score on a set piece, and someone get hurt. Because that's what usually happens. And we've all seen this story before. Where we come in seconds. That being said, I was looking at the schedules for both teams, and if there's any hope we have is that Bournemouth, Brentford, Crystal Palace
Everton.
will all do the job. Yeah, and Everton will do the job for us, and we can't depend on them. We just got to win. Arsenal's got to win their game, which to me is very favorable. Considering we play Everton, we play Crystal Palace, we play Burnley, we play West Ham. I picked the other one, Newcastle.
Newcastle.
That being said, I think West Ham got a lot to play for still. So because they want to get out of regulation zone. You know, Newcastle are shambles. Everton are a decent team. It's because I say it because they have a lot of motivation. We know that their manager, what's his name? I forgot.
Moyes.
David Moyes.
Yep.
He always has his teams playing mid-table, and he's always having playing respectable football. With that said, Arteta's got to get these guys ready, man. We can't have another failure. We have Champions League. I think it could be Atletico Madrid. Then once already beat Bayern Munich once already, so it's got to be optimistic from here on out.
Yeah, look, we have the hope will be the City have to play Brentford away from home. They have to play Everton away from home, and they have to play Bournemouth. They play Brentford at home, but they play Bournemouth away and Everton away. Those are 3 difficult games for them, with teams that will be looking, Tony, to maybe push for European places. The likes of Bournemouth seems to be playing very, very well right now. They're on the probably have to be the longest unbeaten run right now in the Premier League, something which we recognized when Arsenal played them, but obviously we weren't able to overcome them on the day.
Yeah, I mean, right now you have Star Wars: A New Hope, but for Arsenal, it's a old hope because it just keeps on coming down to the same thing, and we just can't get across the finish line with Arteta because he wears these guys out. I don't have much faith things are going to turn around because I think the players he relies on are all burned out, don't have much to give. Rice and Zubimendi should have been given a rest. Zubimendi kind of started hitting a wall in February. Rice has been on and off, but I don't have faith in him anymore. Yes.
Yeah.
To me, it's still been all downhill since the Claire Air talks. Since we had those things. I mean, 5 out of 7 is not good. 5 losses out of 7 games.
No, but it does give you pause to think that we need to come out of that run, and that bad run cannot continue. You know, losing 2 on the bounce is really really bad. Losing to Bournemouth, as Stan outlined, was the horrendous defeat that we need to wipe away. We built up this buffer for this eventuality. We didn't want to have to cash it in, but here we are. The pundits said Arsenal drop a game, Manchester City beat them, and win their game in hand. It's all level. Stan, it's coming. It's come out as the pundits have outlined, and it's not something that I was willing to entertain. But here we are.
Yeah, kind of was what I said. Oh, that was my biggest fear, which has now come to pass as well.
Psychological.
But I mean,
yeah,
it's what Tony just said there, that he doesn't have that we will win anything by the end of this season. Like, there's things that I'm not happy about with what I'm seeing, but until it's over, I have to still have faith because it's a game.
Listen,
you can deserve anything, but what I'm saying is, in time, it's not over.
And the tweet, you might have interpreted the tweet that I put out for the show. You know, we're all in this together. So what you have is the positive gooners and those who don't believe in Mikel Arteta. We have no choice right now. We all have to get on board. We all have.
Also, we're realistic as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
We gotta be realistic as well.
We're not going to sack a manager right now. We're not going to do that. Especially that's built this team and been on this ride from the beginning. They're going to ride it out to the end of the season, and I think that's a fair time then you can give an assessment, because you can't write anything off yet.
No, you definitely can't write anything off. It's always good to have a podcast and talk about these things, because my Sunday was not a good Sunday, largely based off of that defeat and the realization of what pundits from ESPN were saying, what pundits who really dislike Arsenal, the pundits who dislike Arsenal, the ones who like to peddle their own,
You're talking about Stevie Nicol?
Nigel Rhea Coker, Stevie Nicol, Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville.
Who's that guy?
Should not care about these guys, but these things they say, have an effect on.
It's not just those guys, though, is it? I mean, it's almost like the minute the final whistle went, if you Twitter, it was like people had ready, they had like a fight. The moment Arsenal no longer are at the top of the Premier League, they have a file. That's what the file's called, and they've got the memes in there with various references to some sort of a reference to a bottle, or some sort of a reference to elephants falling out of trees, or some sort of reference to Pep and Arteta going to shake hands at the final whistle, but then Pep whips out a baby bottle and starts baby bottling. I've seen that on real AI. That was good AI. It was very realistic, but it was almost and it's like I can't. I know that a lot of people don't like Arsenal, but I didn't realise how widespread it was, to the extent. Right, this is the thing for me. It's like people hate us so much. Literally everybody else, all of the neutrals, right, are willing and cheering on a team which allegedly has these 130 odd now charges related to cheating and financial doping, allegedly, over a decade. Right? and that's the team that they would rather see win. I mean, it's like I said to my missus, it's like Arsenal podcasts that bad, that you hate it that much. Are they really that bad? Like, what is it? Do you know what I mean? It's like, are we that bad that you'd rather have that team that's got that hanging over them? That's the symbol that you're. I mean, I don't understand it. I just think that's wild. It really is wild. That wow, they really don't like us, do they? Which would make it even that sweeter if the game finished. Last day of the season, same points as City, same goals for, but goals against is what wins it for us, and it's like that would be. I'd love that.
Yeah, and they're willing to support a team, as you say, allegedly has transgressed the regulations. Not 1, 2, 3, or 4 times, but numerous tens of dozens.
There's people supporting Man City that if they think back, maybe that was a season where they missed out on the Champions League in a Europa League, or instead of being in the Europa League, were in a conference. Do you know what I'm getting at? I don't, fair enough. But if that's who you want to, if that's the horse you're backing, fair play.
Yeah, and we see a team like Leicester City, who, within the last decade won the Premier League. They had financial irregularities, were docked the points, were relegated, and now have been relegated again. So that's how quickly it can happen to a team. But somebody like Manchester City, I don't know why the powers that be have not seen fit to deal with them.
And don't forget Everton that had like 2 or 3 point reductions in one season.
Yeah.
But a lot of this stuff, a lot of the teams do. And I think that's why this has been dragging on so long. It's nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, we had that season, Ray. You remember where like every player was like 40 million, and they just kept trading them back and forth
between Aston Villa and Chelsea.
And there's a couple other teams that are in there too that I just
at the end of PSR, right? Financial Fair Play.
Yep.
FFR. Yeah. Crazy. BX said the players must go for it, forget the manager's instructions, and just go out and win. We have to talk about the manager's instructions as well. I can see Bournemouth giving City the business. I think definitely Bournemouth are a team who could trouble City. There's a couple of fixtures still for City. But I think Stan or Alonso already said, we have to go out and do the business on our side. There's no point in us not doing the business and then Bournemouth beating City. If we drop more
I look at it this way, right? I don't see Arsenal or Man City winning every game between now and the end of the season. I don't think it's as straightforward as that.
Do you think one will and the other might drop points?
It's going to be interesting. Sorry?
Do you think one will win all 5 games and the other could drop points?
No.
You think both teams will drop points?
Winning all 5. I think both teams points. So that's what's going to make it interesting.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be swings and roundabouts. Tony doesn't want me to use the R word. He hates the R
week
word.
Somebody gets a draw, but that week someone gets a win, and there's a couple of points now in it. It could be very tight, and I get it. A lot of people they're pissed off, but again, I would say that I would look at the Man City as an improvement in what I've seen Arsenal serving up lately as a playing staff, personally.
Yeah.
But on the day, it wasn't good enough because I just think that if they gave their best, then their best isn't as good as Man City's then.
Yeah, but this one,
because we weren't able to beat them. We weren't able to beat them.
We looked at City. What's that? We looked at City. We looked at City this season, and we said they're not. They don't scare us that much.
Yeah, but when it counts, it seems like they do, because they've done this in a cup final, and then they've done this again after, didn't they? And I would say that we played a lot better, at the Etihad than we did in the cup final. But a lot better isn't good enough, apparently.
No.
That's the problem. So you can't. If someone's, it's like Mohamed El Neni, right? Sometimes I'd rather pick him in the team over an Ozil, because if Ozil, for example, was 100, the number 100 for what he can do, and El Neni is, say, maybe 75, at least I know with El Neni, he's always going to give me that 75% every time, whereas Ozil would be like, is it a good day? Is it in a good mood? Am I going to get that 100? Or is he going to go, do you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Or is he going to be spinning around on
they're playing to their ceiling, and, somebody like maybe Havertz and Gyökeres, maybe we know what their ceilings are. Because Gyökeres hasn't scored against the big teams, right? Where his goals have come from.
No. That's definitely a slight against him. He scored against the Tottenhams, the Leeds, teams like that.
We're spending like over 50 million on a player like Madueke, and then you see Man City bringing in someone like Cherki for 30, and you're just like, okay, they're obviously operating different. Because we're not finding them deals, are we?
No.
I think his issue is that he's been buying former Chelsea players and hope that he could rehabilitate or make him better by his tactics, etc.
Yeah.
But it's become old news now, where we're buying players that cost too much money. And granted, Rice was a different situation to me. However, when you buy players from Chelsea that are damaged goods, expecting them to perform miracles or do the job, they can't do that. Like, look at, Madueke. I told this to Tony earlier that he's a good backup to have, but because of Saka's injury, he's having to start more often than not. And then, you bring in Havertz, who's always hurt now, seems like, and he misses a goal. To be fair, he does work hard, but we need him scoring goals if Eucharist is not going to start. Then you have, Kepa, who's been a dumpster fire ever since he started cup finals.
Kepa as well, fucking hell.
Yeah, so to me, it just ain't working out. And look at the past. Willian was one of them, Pierre Cech. So there's all these players from Chelsea that
David
haven't
Luiz.
worked out, and William Gallas.
You know what I'm saying?
So the list goes on and on.
William Gallas.
Don't stop.
William Gallas, man.
I said stop.
Raheem Sterling. I mean, there's quite a role. There's quite a role.
So it hasn't worked out, and Arteta's expecting them to rehabilitate them, and it's gotten them nowhere except not even winning trophies. So with all that being said, there's at one point there's a stop.
Yeah, it's crazy, Stan.
It stopped when we signed Garnacho in the summer window.
Garnacho,
60 million for Garnacho.
Modric will come out of retirement and back into football. Listen, Stan, you could probably name an Arsenal 11 just off of all the Chelsea players who've come over to the Arsenal. We could easily pick an 11, a team of 11 there. BX Gunner, I agree with you here. This is a legacy season for Mikel Arteta. This is a period in which I have lauded this period as a time to start winning trophies and bringing trophies in. We've gone through this cycle now, and this is our window. We've got players who are in their prime, players who are in their prime window for winning things, mid to late 20s. They should be at the peak of their powers. Gabriel Magalhaes William Saliba, David Raya, the spine of the team, right? Zubimendi, Declan Rice, Odegaard, and then Saka, Eze, Gyökeres, Havertz. Uh, BX says this title is Arteta's only way to validate and vindicate his career as a player and manager. He needs to get it done or get lost. Seriously, you know, this is there. This is where Mikel Arteta either he will define himself in these next few weeks. Do you agree with that statement or not? This will define him.
I'll take this. So I think it has to. I think whenever the fans, us fans get live for this, right? Every Saturday, every Sunday, every Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes Friday, previously was Thursday. We want our team to win. And when they lost the League Cup final, I know it's not all that, but it's a trophy. It's something that we haven't had in a while.
Competitive game, yeah.
And then you lose the FA Cup to Southampton. You can't even score against them. And then, you fall back, you drop points against teams that you should beat. And, again, we're in the semifinals of the Champions League. And, we could beat Atletico Madrid, right? So there's always hope there. But it's now or never with this manager, with Arteta, because he's a former Arsenal player. He knows the way. He knows how it works by now. He should know how it works. So, but I'm just tired of the excuses, man. It's always I got to get better. I got to be better. Team has to be better. You gotta make some changes to win, and you gotta sometimes make some risky changes. So it's up to him ultimately on how the team sets up. So these 5 weeks, these next 7 games, including the Champions League final, if we get there, will define his career at Arsenal and elsewhere. So it's put up a short of time for me, and he's got no players in it he wants. And I was trying to work with those players to get the results that we Arsenal fans so desperately want.
Yeah. Stan, you're shaking your head a little bit. You're going to take the opposite side of this? Is this Mikel Arteta's defining period? Stan?
I think sometimes when you see really bad performances, sometimes you have to look at the players as well. What it is that they're doing and what they're all about. For example, in that they got that ball, he took that shot and it went off the inside of the post and didn't go in. That's not the manager's fault. The manager's probably taught him to be there for that moment to take that shot, but at the end of the day, the player has to take the shot. And maybe if he took that shot again, it could bounce off and go in, but he didn't. He didn't. The cross that came in for Havertz to make that header. Do you know what I mean? It's not the manager's fault that Havertz couldn't direct that ball down into the goal instead of heading it over. So I think sometimes the players, there's only so much that once the players cross the white line, it's not like they were set up wrong or we're being overrun. It did look to me that the finishing part of our game was not as good as other teams.
What's done? There's been Wolves away from home, Nottingham Forest away from home, Liverpool at home.
Talking about that particular,
I know, but it has been.
Game,
I know.
What I'm saying is,
and they don't work out because you don't play him,
which is what we haven't seen in a while. We haven't seen us creating many goal-scoring opportunities, and we were doing that, but the finishing and the end product was poor.
Yeah.
And if you look at the numbers for someone like Trossard, he's not scored. Trossard hasn't scored calendar year.
I think the last one was at Sunderland that he scored that I can remember.
Saka's not scored one in something like 22 games. Martinelli's something like 1 in 24. These kind of numbers, it's around those kind of numbers. It's not good enough.
We be better? Shouldn't Mikel Arteta have them playing better?
But the players the players are actually the ones that are playing, right? They're the ones that are they're receiving the ball and making the pass. You know, it's the player that's getting into a goal-scoring opportunity, but not being able to get the back of the net. Do you see what I'm getting at? There's only so much.
Yeah, I do.
But also,
I honestly think that when I said to my missus, I think we're going to lose, and she said, why? And I said, because they're better than us. When I said that, at this moment in time, I think their team is better than ours. Especially when it comes to the attacking part of the game, and they've got a better manager. His trophy cabinet and CV shows you that. So I'm not just saying it to be snarky. So it's going to be difficult.
But Stan, I know it's been 6 seasons with Mikel Arteta. Shouldn't the buck stop with the manager at some point?
Yeah.
You know? At some point.
You can't fire all the players.
You can't.
And look at someone like Liam Rosenior.
Yeah.
He's
been pretty clueless.
4 months.
What has he lost? 5 or 6 games in a row? Liam Rosenior. You know, you get to that stage.
But the players discussed about him, did they? It wasn't because
if you get to that stage where a manager loses 5 or 6 games in a very bad stretch.
Well, the players lost 5 or 6 games as well, though, didn't they?
But,
that's the thing. It wasn't just the manager.
Well, the manager,
the team. You know, I'm getting at the team. So,
is there a scenario where the club would fire Mikel Arteta if we lost 3 of the next 5 games? You know?
No, I don't think that they would fire him before the lights get turned out and the curtains get drawn, and then there's a question. As I say, right? You know, it's about the man of the loss. And again, I'm not as angry about losing to City as I am against Bournemouth. I look at the Bournemouth game and I'm like, we could have done so much more in that game than what we served up on that day. Maybe we wouldn't have won, but the man wasn't like everything out on the pitch and the better team won on the day. I didn't see it. That's what's annoying. It's not so much the Man City loss. Man City, I see improvement. Hope.
Yeah.
Maybe we're turning that corner, that bad patch, maybe getting into a better patch. Just when we need to. It's possible, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the bad patch doesn't have to last till the end of the season. Maybe, I don't know. It's just
what do you think from the 5 remaining games, Stan? I'm staying with you for a second. From the 5 remaining games, what points do you think we should be getting a return on?
Again, it's really hard to say. I've said this to you before. I'm at the stage where I can't. It's so hard to predict these days because teams win games that they shouldn't, and they lose games. You know what I'm getting at? It's so hard to predict.
4 wins and a draw, minimum. You said that both teams would drop points, right?
I think so. I don't think that both teams are going to keep a clean sheet now to the end of the season. I don't think.
I cannot see.
From what I've seen this season.
City. Okay, I can see City maybe dropping 2 points, but no more than 2 points.
They only squeaked past Burnley.
Yeah, they did.
So, they scored their goal in the first 5 minutes, but from what I gather, Burnley were having trouble finishing, but were. So maybe a better team might get the better of them. They've got better teams ahead than Burnley, right? So they may drop points.
Yeah. For the foreseeable, we're going to preview the Newcastle game coming up as well. But for the foreseeable, there's a big game on Saturday. Newcastle coming into the Emirates on Saturday. Nothing more than a win and a decent win. 2+ goals will suffice in this.
And they're in terrible form.
Newcastle at the moment are in terrible form. Yeah.
So are we.
Yeah. So are we. 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 So
Yeah.
They're playing like Anthony Gordon through the middle, and the two strikers that they spent money on Wissa for 55 million, and they bought in Walter Mead. I don't know how much they paid for Walter Mead, but I think it was a good few fair bucks.
Yeah, it was a decent amount of money.
They're not making, they're on the bench. They're starting games on the bench. So what's going on now?
For the neutrals, there'll be a WGAF game on Saturday. And Tony knows what that means.
Yep.
Arsenal in poor form, Newcastle in poor
But
form.
what I'm saying, it's not just Mikel Arteta when he say things like, well, what about Norgard? They went out, right? They sold Isak. So they wanted to beef up their striking options. And they bought both Wissa and Walter Mead. And I've seen numerous games this season where both of those players are on the bench, and the manager, would rather shift Anthony Gordon, who's a winner, into that position, thinking to yourself, well, fucking hell, how bad are those two then? If we're having to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It happens, right? These managers are making these kind of decisions.
Yeah, and look, this was a situation where Isak had to move, right? Newcastle would have had an unhappy player, wanted to go to Liverpool for a very, very big fee, and Newcastle were forced into a situation where they had to buy the player. But they've had a very, very bad season, and I said about 6 weeks ago they were going to turn into a cup team, because their league form had become atrocious. And here we are in a situation on Saturday where we're going to have to beat them by 2-3 goals. And as has been highlighted, they've not been playing well as well. Arteta's had a bad feeling in his tummy and fire. Bro has symptoms of a stomach flu and fever. Yeah. We've wasted a golden opportunity. DXP said half a generation under Arteta and his inexperience. There's no way around it. An inexperienced manager would have won multiple silverware in 7 years. I mean, that's an interesting point. We played some great football a couple of seasons ago with Martinelli and Saka in particular. Odegaard scoring lots of goals. It didn't yield any results, and we've come to a different way of playing now, using a more physical set piece approach, being more difficult to break down at the back, but not recently. So Mikel Arteta's tried a few different ways here to crack this code, and we still have 5 games to go, and it could still happen.
Short kicks don't work, Ray. Short kicks do not work.
What doesn't work?
Those short kicks we've been taking, it's been fucking atrocious.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I have noticed that. Anyone else want to kick in on that? We had numerous opportunities on Sunday to put the ball into the box, get a cross in, and we played short corners, short free kicks.
Yeah, it's just like their trousers, right? Like, things go out of fashion. So, short kicks now. That's the new.
We've gone away from what was working at the beginning of the season.
But it stopped working, hasn't it? Kind of dried up.
Did it stop working, or did we go away from it?
I think we just went away from it.
I thought it dried up, and so we've gone to try something new. Sorry, Tony.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Gabriel. He was very close to scoring. So.
20 goal involvements or something like that, right? Wasn't it? He's on 19
20
or something.
goals. No, I believe he's tied with Kolasinac, which Kolasinac he played out there.
There is a growing
as a left winger.
There is a growing contingent of Arsenal fans that feel this way. Like BX says here, Arteta needs to go, win or lose. Come the end of the season, he needs to go. Signing Alt the 777. Welcome to the show. Signing the flop Madueke instead of playing Waneri is a separate crime as well. You know, when Harry was possibly in a situation, we loaned him out, Alonso, to give him some games, but you know, you're not going to know what injuries you're going to encounter.
Yeah.
We did encounter injuries after he was loaned out.
Yeah, and apparently the loan at Marseille is not working out. So we're not bringing him back. And that's part of Arteta's mindset that he doesn't trust his younger players, but he go out and play diamond. And so that's what's so confusing is that, he could take a chance on Rex Diamond to make things happen. But yet when he looks at, guys like, you know, Newari and or Miles Skelly, he doesn't play them enough. And that's part of the problem because now I don't believe this rumor, but the rumors out there that they might get sold.
Yeah.
And, eh, what are you going to sell them for? Because they don't play as much, or you don't trust them, or there's a lot of things that may have gone wrong there. But no worries. You saw last year that he could do some things.
It
He could
just
play on the right wing and then right midfields, but yet you don't trust him enough because he's young. And so it's mind-boggling to me that they don't give these young players chances, but yet he could go ahead and let Max Diamond play in Champions League or
yeah,
in the FA Cup. So there's a dilemma there that I don't quite understand.
it just strikes me, you know, what we're doing with Max Diamond this season. We were doing with Waneri a couple of seasons ago. Now where is Waneri?
Yeah,
He's
but
not.
players like Waneri and Miles Lewis Skelly, we're at a time now where you have to juggle the books. No matter how much is there to invest, there is also a balance about what you bring in. And by selling some, players like Miles Lewis Skelly and Wanari who've come through the academy, that's all profit, baby. I'm not saying that I agree with that, but that's, they're prime targets for that.
Yeah, but these could
like
be,
Obi, for example.
These players could be like a Mickey Thomas, or players that have come through the system.
Yeah, but back then he wasn't so compelled to have that, to make those
money.
kind of decisions. Do you know what I mean? On and apparently I was, not that I know all of the financials of Arsenal, but I was listening to someone who knows all about, reading something, and they were saying that we are in that zone where when we want to make our next move, we have to sell some players. We have to make sales. No matter how much the owners want to say to Mikel Arteta, there you go. We're in that realm where they need to see revenue coming in.
Yeah.
So there has to be, and maybe players like Miles Lewis Skelly, as I say, in that situation, and you don't think that they're going to be able to impact the team immediately, and you're willing to maybe sacrifice those two players. Incoming, you bring in someone like a Julian Alvarez, and then let's say you bring in a Kvaratskhelia. Just for example, these are players that are going to make an impact now, hopefully. So you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah. Yeah.
But Dan, you rather keep Martinelli and Trossard?
No.
But what I would say is that one of the biggest links that hasn't been going away for that left side is Anthony Gordon from Newcastle as a winger on the left side. And Newcastle have been sort of saying, like, he's worth about 80 million. And I just think to myself, I'm not saying that he's a bad player, but I don't see him as a level above what we already have. I see him in the same sort of bracket and the same sort of a return as a Martinelli or a Trossard, right? Personally, I do. I don't see him as a great upgrade. So when I hear stories like that, I'm like, why? I'd rather just keep them then, if that's where you're going. If that's what you're doing, I don't see that as a market upgrade. That's not like bringing in like a Rafael Leao or a Rodrigo, or
Yeah.
Which is where we kind of should be looking if we're trying to not buying players that aren't better than what you really have by much. Doesn't make any sense. We shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, we are in a semi-final of the Champions League again for the second time in 2 years.
Oh, please don't say Garnacho links.
Consecutively. Gordon and Garnacho is a lot cheaper. Yeah, but I think even beyond the Anthony Gordon, we should be looking beyond Rafael Leao. You talked about that. Even opinions mixed on Rodrigo from Real Madrid. Kvaratskhelia.
Look, man,
Those are the
there's
kind of
other
players.
people out there. There's other people out there, but I'm saying is, it's like I don't care who you sell, but at least replace them with something that's better. Or what's the point? You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, Dan and Tony Alonso, we have to be in a situation where we're continually refreshing, and we can continually be at the top end of the Champions League. So we're in the last four every year, with an opportunity to win it. If we don't win it this year, we go into the summer and we attract big players to come to the Arsenal and go after the Champions League again next year. You know, we have to be continually looking. Andrea Berta's got to be continually looking at making the club better, at making the playing staff better.
Yeah, but he did his job, Ray. He went and did the extra work.
His job doesn't stop now. His job doesn't stop there. He's got to go sell players in the summer. He's got to bring in better in the summer as well.
Why do we need to sell when we've already made 191 million euros?
Well, you have to continue
this year from the Champions League. That's
all right. We all.
Over.
But Tony,
when you include the tickets for the Atletico game, it's to be over 200 million euros, right?
Yeah. When you look at our squad, you can identify players who need to move on, right?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So that's the reason why you need to sell, right?
But you still got to bring in somebody better, and you got to make sure the manager wants to use the players to bring in.
Give me the name of a player you would sell this summer, Tony. Anyone. We're gonna go around. Okay. We're gonna go around the house here. There's probably 4 players that we could sell, right, this summer and upgrade on.
Calafieri, Ben White.
No, just give me one. Just give me one.
Martinelli.
Just give me one. You're stealing Stan and Alonso.
Martinelli and Trossard.
Easily making nose.
Are they a tandem? Do they come together, Martinelli and Trossard?
Mustafa.
Yeah.
Give me one player, Tony.
I already named 4, so...
Give me one. Pick one.
Just have one.
Martinelli, because we're going to get the most money out of him.
All right, Martinelli. We recognize Martinelli could go at the end at this summer, and we could upgrade on him. Stan, pick a player who we could upgrade on in the summer.
Hey, Kepa.
Gabriel Jesus.
Jesus, that was exactly who I had in mind. Alonso, one player.
I said Odegaard.
Odegaard, controversial, very difficult.
He's our most expensive.
What's not going to happen, right?
Yep, it is.
Do you think? Okay, you think it's going to happen?
You got to profit. Remember?
All right, I would say Ben White. So there's 4 players that could leave in the summer. You know,
who's got the biggest weight out of all of those? Maybe Gabriel Jesus, right? He's on 200, 220, maybe something like that.
Yeah,
I think it's more than that.
Stan's looking at the wage bill as well. Maybe the high earners must be cold. The high earners must be cold.
If you're not eating and you're earning all those bags, man, thing in it. That's that really. You know,
weight in gold, right? Worth your weight in gold, isn't that what they say?
And a pension, something, man.
I think Ben White could do a job for a Premier League team and could get a move, and we could bring a right back in there to help Timber as well. So yeah, I mean, these are the things.
If I didn't say that, I would have said Trossard as well. That's my second pick.
Yeah. Now,
I
it would
think
be kind of
Trossard's
sad.
given us all that he's going to give us.
It would be kind of sad for me if we didn't win anything this season and those players left without a medal in their back pocket. You know, I'd love to send Jesus, Ben White, Trossard, Martinelli, Odegaard on
But
their
here's the
way
thing,
with
right? You just said
Premier League
you'd be
winner.
sad. You'd be sad if those players left a better winners. Shouldn't they be feeling exactly the same thing? Because they're on the verge of it. They're right there. They're in control of it, man. They are in control of it.
Do you think they feel the same way we do?
This is someone like Trossard. I mean, the way that the transfer even happened, right? It wasn't like there were long talks. It was all Mudryk, wasn't it? And then that went sideways. And then all of a sudden, Trossard was in. Trossard was like, hold on a minute. I'm going to be going to a team that's in the Champions League and is potentially going to start fighting to win the league. That wasn't on the cards. Yeah. So you'd think that, that these... When you hear people go, they don't want it. They all want it. Of course they do. Anybody like a Jesus or a Trossard, they know that maybe this is their last chance to, add, Jesus's, to win a Premier League outside of Man would be different,
Yeah.
And they're obviously their best isn't good. That's what I'm saying.
We know. We know
they can give it their best isn't good enough. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in. Maybe it's
but you had last season or last calendar year where Trossard had the most goals in the team in that calendar year. So I still think he's capable. You seen Arteta chewing his ass out 2 games ago, maybe 3 games ago.
I love
doing nothing. For trying to go win the game.
That was a sporting game.
I love Madawiki's energy, his direct kind of play. But for what we paid for him, from what I'm seeing, it's giving me like Gervinho and the Bowie vibes now.
Yeah.
Running the ball out of play and stuff. It's like, do you know what I mean? Glenn Helder. Sorry, Glenn, if you're listening.
I have a bone to pick with some of those officials now because
pace, but the control, it's just not.
Some of those linesmen, they just can't wait to raise their flag. Some of those linesmen just can't. They hit the ball across the line on some of the occasions. You know what I mean? You have to ask yourself that question. As Tony detailed, the goals coming from Saka, the goals come from Martinelli. Madueke, Jesus. We're not getting enough from these players, and now we're getting into desperate straits here, where we need to take every chance that comes to us. We need to be efficient.
His team on his back for a couple of seasons, and maybe now, just when things are. Maybe he has anything left at the minute since he had that injury. And as soon as this season finishes, there's going to be a World Cup. When's people getting rested?
Well, like you said, Stan, shouldn't the players have the energy for the last 6-7 games of this season?
Well, as I said before, do you remember when we finished? We got to the last day of the season. And we lost by 1 point. Yeah. I was, obviously disappointed by that, right? But I think that if we don't win the league this season, I will be more disappointed. You know why? Because when we lost it on the last day of the season by 1 point, at that time, I honestly didn't think that we were ready for it. I didn't think that we had quite enough, and I was quite surprised that we managed to get that close.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So they earned a round of applause.
Yeah.
But this season, I felt that reasons why I felt that weren't good enough. I thought we'd conquered that with the kind of players that we bought, the way that we, the squad that we had. I thought we'd conquered that. And it still hasn't if we end up winning nothing, I'll be more annoyed because I felt we were more geared up for it this season than we were geared up for it in the season where we finished second and lost it by 1 point. Do you know what I mean? So I'll be even more furious because I
Here
just
we are.
believe that we should be more equipped to get over the line of what we have.
Around Christmas time, around mid-December, there was 2 points between us and Man City, and between that time and beginning of April, we built up a 9 point gap somehow, some way, with the extra game in hand. The extra game being played, and that has been eroded away now. You know, um, but all to play for. Like Stan said, it's not over yet, and us Arsenal fans, we're ready to. They always seem to want to make us wait. First of all, Arsenal do, but we're ready to fight it out now, and every game is going to be vital. Every 3 points will be paramount and huge. Alt the 777 said rumors are Arteta has already signed a new contract. They're looking at a good time to announce if we qualify for the final or after Fulham if we do win both of those games. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, many fans have been skeptical of the PR levels of the club, but it does seem that the things that we say, the things that we purport the club to be doing in terms of PR, it does seem to come through. There does seem to be a shirt release when we're playing well. All of these things, you know what I mean? We wasted a golden opportunity and half a generation under Arteta and his inexperience. There's no way around that. And then he's also pushing out our star youth players. Yeah, it's this thing about control. We see a contrast, Tony, between Pep Guardiola, who allows his players to go and play. He does demand things. He does demand things of them defensively, but when they're going in the other direction, he allows them to play in a certain way or the way they want to.
It's not micromanaged like Arteta does. They have a freedom of movement. He does that with the defense. He does it with the fullbacks. But for whatever reason, he doesn't give us strikers and the attackers green lights to go do what they want to do. And like I might be a broken record on this, but you go back to the Amazon documentary, and you had Arteta say, "This is the way we're gonna play. I can switch out players, but this is the way we're gonna play." And there comes in with stubbornness of Arteta.
Yeah. BX Gunner, I heard what you said, Tony. BX Gunner said rumors are there's lots of unhappy players at Chelsea, so be prepared. Chelsea players.
Imagine, for example, if we bought Cucurella, I'd just cry.
Enzo.
Cucurella.
Yeah.
I can't stand that guy.
I can't stand him
either. I don't see how. You remember on my Danny Welbeck story? When I found out we were signing Danny Welbeck, I was furious, seriously, furious about it.
Yeah,
over the time that he was with us, he won me over because of his application, and even now, I keep my eye out to see what he's doing, and he's scoring a lot of goals at the moment.
He's doing really well.
I'm pleased for him.
Brighton as well. He scored a lot.
But I don't think if we bought Cucurella that I would ever warm to him. I just don't see it.
No.
Is there a portal open up behind Stan there?
Yeah. Black hole. Maybe the Smokey. You ever see Lost? Could be Smokey behind them.
That was such a weird show.
Yes, it was. A good one, though. A good one.
Yeah.
So, for me, Stan is saying there's players involved here as well. But for me, the buck has to stop with Mikel Arteta, and Stan and I have probably been pretty much hand and walk step in step with how we're feeling about Mikel Arteta through the 6 seasons. But for me, you know, he can stay in the job if he delivers a title or the Champions League. Obviously, we talked about that scenario last Thursday night. But the players are involved in this and culpable, and the players should be wanting to run through walls, win a title for the first time at Arsenal in 24 years, 22 years, 23 years.
The problem, Ray, is most of them are dead tired, though.
But there's 5 games to go. You can't be tired at this time in the season. Your enthusiasm, your adrenaline has to carry you through. I wouldn't be.
It kind of comes across like with the team, it's like, we're at the top of the league. This is a slog. What a slog. I can't wait till this is over. Where you'd want the mentality to be more like top of the league. I can't wait to, man. Wait till the next game and then the one after that. Because, do you know what I mean? It's more the other like, can't the league be just finished now? Like,
the other thing, Stan,
that's what it feels like when I'm watching it. Like it's a slog.
The other thing is the Premier League is about consistency. Premier League is about consistency and winning against 19 other teams, right? But when you go through it and you look at the teams that we've played against, Man City, we've only taken 1 point from Man City. Man United, we won one, lost one. Aston Villa, we won one, lost one. Liverpool, we drew 1 game and we lost the other one. Brighton are in 6th place. I think we beat them twice, if I'm not mistaken. Bournemouth, they beat us once. We beat them once. Chelsea, we drew 1 game. We beat them one. So, it's been very mixed results. And toward the top of the table, we've not been that consistent against the top teams. Yet, here we are. We're in a situation where we'll need to do a double over Newcastle on Saturday. We beat them up there at their place in what was probably one of the most important games of the season when we did beat them in the final minutes up there. Now we have an opportunity to go and do a double over them, Stan, on Saturday.
Yeah.
Eddie Howe is under all kinds of pressure. Newcastle have injuries. They're in a mess. And like you've mentioned, Wisa was a bad signing for a lot of money. Walter Mode has not panned out for them. They're there for the taking if we're good enough.
Yeah.
Eddie Howe's under pressure. The fans are getting on their back.
I mean, if we get to the end of the league and win the league playing in this way, then Mikel Arteta, he has to have your attention now. Okay, well, it wasn't enjoyable, but it was enough to beat Man City and win the league. But if you don't, now what are you going to do? You can't serve that up again the next season.
No.
You've got to come up with something different. You tried that. Tried that. That wasn't enough. Are you going to try that again?
Even if we do go on and win the league and just crawl over the line, which maybe Gary Neville has said that we would do, we're just going to win enough games and crawl over the line, Tony. It won't be enough. It won't be enough going back there, run it back next season and do the same thing.
Yeah, I think we have to do the minimum of 13 points out of these last 5 games. If not, I don't think we can catch City. I mean, this isn't the City they were in the first half of the season, where they could go against a weaker team and end up losing. I mean, you never knew what City you're to get, but now you're getting a very consistent team. But the offense is clicking now. and I just don't see how that comes off the rails enough for Arsenal to sneak back in and get the title because City drops too many points.
Yeah, and we're in a situation where every point is going to be valuable now. Every point is, and we play we play. There's a huge week coming up. We play Newcastle at home on Saturday. It's going to be an evening game as well, so the crowd should really be into it. Then we play the Atletico Madrid away from home in the Champions League, and then next weekend again is Saturday. I think it's the same time next Saturday, 12, half 12 or whatever. That game out, and that's before Man City play Everton because there's an FA Cup game for Man City coming up this weekend. You know, so we have a great opportunity in these two games to put 66 points on the board, play two extra games before Man City go to Everton. David Moyes' Everton team, you know. And we saw in the Burnley game, Walker and Doku hugging, We need David Moyes to do a solid for Mikel Arteta on Arsenal, you know, in that game when Man City rock up to Everton. So that's going to be a crucial game, and that'll probably be in May at this point in time when City play. City probably won't play another game until May, early May, and then we're really getting into the final month of the season. You know, uh, the Tiger Gunner has joined us. Thanks for being here, Tiger. Morning, lads. Hope you're all doing well. Yeah. We're trying to make sense of this Man City loss. And what was even more damning is the loss to Bournemouth before that. The damage has been done to our buffer. The damage we've taken a hit. We've taken a left hook. But we got to come back fighting again, and the fight's got to come back on Saturday uh, at home to Newcastle. You know, Stan looks like
I do think that.
Yeah.
Just talking about the fixture after Newcastle quickly, I do think that our style of football is more adept to perhaps get our result against and the left.
Yeah.
Maybe not enough, but a one-off game in the final. You know what I mean? We're in a final. It's like kill or be killed, right?
Right now, I'll take that final appearance.
Saves 2 penalties in the Champions League. That's how we win it. With a penalty shootout, David Raz.
The only way we win it, the only way we win it is being defensively proper and playing well at the back. You know.
But I could see us getting to the Champions League on that because, as I say, the teams that remain, they all score goals. Yeah,
you never know though. You have to get to the final in a one-off game. You have to get to the final and play it from there. You know, I think we would not be able to live with PSG or Bayern Munich over 2 games, but in a one-off final, and anything could happen, right? But we got to get past Atletico Madrid first. Now, we'll go to the Champions League because that's a bit of a bright spot, right? Stylistically, what's it going to look like in the midweek stand next midweek against Atletico Madrid and Simeone? It's going to be a tough game.
Well, let's talk about Saka on his way back. Maybe he'll be saved if he is available for that game rather than the Newcastle game.
Right, you think we'll probably persist with Madueke or Odegaard or somebody like that on the right hand side.
Who knows?
Yeah, or Downman. Yeah. Bukayo Saka would probably be a sub on Saturday and get 20-25 minutes.
Maybe something like that, yeah.
Is that how you'd like to see it?
gets a start against the Atletico Madrid. Maybe that's the program. Who knows?
Yeah. I'm not sure about Atletico Madrid's record at home, but I'd have to think it's pretty formidable in their stadium. They've beaten good teams in that stadium. So again, we're coming back to last season in Lisbon, maybe Porto. We talk about this on a regular basis, where our players looked a little bit overawed by the situation, by the occasion. You know, so we'll
I think
have
the thing with
to
Atleti, they were known for a while as a team that would grind out
shit
wins.
out. Yeah,
Score too many. Grind out like that. They don't seem to be that team, and a team that now does seem to play more attacking football. I mean, they played with two
yeah.
up
You
front.
remember the
Two up
you
front,
remember the
Griezmann,
shithousery.
Alvarez.
Do you remember that shithousery a couple of seasons ago with Man City? It was a very bad-tempered game.
No, I don't remember that.
I think when Man City won it, Grealish and Simeone were involved. There was a lot of cards, but they are a different team now, right?
Yeah, they seem to be a team that are looking to score.
Yeah,
In matches to have better
and
players,
it's going to be
better equipped to play that kind of a game.
going to be
Lookman,
entertaining.
Alvarez, Griezmann. I can't remember who plays on the right. So
Yeah, Lookman, right?
yeah,
Lookman, Griezmann, Alvarez. Yeah, it's a bit of a frightening front line as well. But you get to the Champions League semi-final, you'd have to imagine that there's only really, really good teams left in the competition. Ourselves, got to give ourselves a pat in the back for being there. Atletico Madrid, PSG, and Bayern Munich. Atletico lost 3-2 during the week, says Tiger and Gunner. We do play Athletic Tuesday. Do we play Tuesday or Wednesday? I feel like we're playing them on the Wednesday. Yeah, I looked at this earlier. The first game is on a Wednesday. We play Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday in the next three games. Um, no Suarez in their team as well, Stan. So that'll be helpful, you know. But just stylistically, we will match up very, very close to Atletico Madrid in terms of physicality, in terms of the way we're able to play football. This Arsenal team can play football as well, and we probably do a little bit better when it comes to non-Premier League. Playing in Europe, we probably maybe enjoy that a little bit more. It's not as physical. Um, just thinking of the way Man City were physical with Arsenal on Sunday. Kai Havertz couldn't even beat Bernardo Silva, who was defending in the second half, being outmuscled in that situation. Very disappointing. So yeah, Mikel Arteta's got some important decisions to make. It probably means Victor Gyökeres comes back for Atletico Madrid. So we'll continue the Gyökeres and Havertz duo, the mix and match and mixing those players. What else do you think? Can you see Tony coming down for the Atletico Madrid game and the Newcastle game? What do you see in the team selection?
Both are to be tough. I mean, your back four, they're pretty much set in stone now. I mean, you'd have Zubimendi there, you'd have Rice. It's a subby, but attack is where it's a vary. And for me, I would go with Pessard and Bucharest leading the attack.
Yeah.
If not, I just don't see it working.
He's certainly not going to play Havertz, Odegaard, and Eze in the same team on next Wednesday.
Don't put it past him, Ray.
Well, I think that would be too open to go to Spain with. Um, remember, we're going to play the second game at home, so we need to be pretty solid in the first game, not lose it by 2 or 3 goals. You know, you could definitely take a 1 goal deficit back to the Emirates. Not that you would want to do that, but you don't want to let the game get away from you that you don't have a game at the Emirates when you come back. You know, so it's going to
Yep.
be important. The team selection is going to be important. Knowing we have to beat Newcastle at home and then go to Atletico, get some kind of decent result, and beat Fulham at home, and then following week, midweek, we take Atletico back to the Emirates for a chance to get to the final of the Champions League. You know, uh, and sort of like I'm cheering myself up when you start talking about these things. You know, we have a real opportunity to get to the final of the Champions League. As Stan has said in previous seasons, it represents improvement. We were talking about getting to the knockout stages. We were talking about getting to the quarterfinal 3 years ago as being one of the best 8 teams in Europe. Now we're talking about being one of the top 4 teams in Europe, if not beyond that. You know what I mean? So maybe next month we can talk about Arsenal being, the second best team, one of the top 2 teams in Europe, and represent improvement that way. The other thing as well is, not only is this gonna Mikel Arteta's got an opportunity to put his name down in history with this team, to be able to bring a Premier League trophy to the Arsenal, or to win the Champions League for the first time as Arsenal manager, be the first Arsenal manager to do this. It's not something that any other manager was able to achieve so far. So, there's lots to still feel that you want to jump out of bed in the morning if you're an Arsenal player and feel like your season's still alive. You know, there are teams out there who are struggling to make the top 4 in the Premier League. That's all they have to play for. You know, I'm
Yep.
talking about Chelsea. I'm talking about a Liverpool and even a Man United.
But
You
those
know,
clubs haven't had the hundreds of millions of pounds invested in them. We have.
Liverpool have,
Yeah, Liverpool have, definitely.
Chelsea have.
Have Chelsea over a number of years.
Yeah,
But we haven't been miserly when it's come to resources, right?
no, we've definitely spent. Now, have we gotten the best out of the money we spent? You know what I mean?
Can you mute Alonso, please?
Yes.
You tearing apart something?
But there were those
Christmas.
Januaries where we could have done maybe something and didn't. And you look at, say, the
Last 2 Januaries.
and you look at a team like Man City, the moves that they made. They went and shored up their defence and went out and bought Mark Gay, and they went out and bought Semenyo. And both of those players, in the highlights I see a match of the day when I see the City games, they've been making contributions.
Yeah. And Mark Gay has probably shored up a lot of the. Bless you. Mark Gay's probably shored up a lot of the defensive issues the Man City had been having at the back. Semenyo has gone on and scored quite a few goals. The whole thing just irritates me. Like, and when I see Pep Guardiola like laughing on the sideline and goading Mikel Arteta, like, does none of this get to our manager at all? Does none of this banter ever get to our manager? Does he not get irritated about it, Tony? You know,
If he does, he does not show it.
Guardiola laughing at Arteta. Um, you know, he's heard about the Arsenal bottles and the tears, and Mikel Arteta is just willing to brush all of that off and not worry about it, and continue to do the things that he does, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. You would figure you would defend yourself, defend your team, if the opposite manager's laughing at you.
Yeah, you saw that, right? You saw that on the sideline, didn't you? The last 10, 15 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where is the reaction? The reaction has to come in these next 5 games, and we have to navigate our way into the Champions League final. Because you know what? We get to that Champions League final, and the season ends. It's got to end with 5 wins, starting at the Emirates against Newcastle on Saturday. And that stadium, if you're watching this and you're going to that stadium, you need to make that stadium loud. You need to make it a cauldron. The fans need to be involved in making pushing Arsenal over the line. You know what I mean? We can, as fans, we can disagree on anything throughout the summer, but this team has to come. The fans have to come together and support the team now in getting them over the line, getting the 3 points each and every week that we need to, placing more and more pressure on this Manchester City team, who have just seemed to. So up until now, they have seemed to enjoy chasing us down, and have enjoyed seeing us drop points. Well, now the pressure is maybe going to go on to their side as well. And the pressure maybe should go on their side. And maybe we saw a little bit of that pressure against Burnley on Wednesday night, last night, when they were only able to beat Burnley 1-0. By all accounts, I didn't watch the game because you just look at a fixture like that, you say to yourself, well, Burnley's not going to get any points out of this. But they did come close by all accounts, and Manchester City did not play really, really well. And maybe it was a consequence of the physical battle that Arsenal had with Manchester City. Listen, Liverpool went to Manchester City in the FA Cup quarterfinal and were trounced and beaten 4-0. This Arsenal team went to Man City and put in a performance, played well, and but by the grace of an inch here or there, the small and fine margins of football could have won the game. Havertz, a great header at the end. We can't look back at that game at the Etihad and have regret, because Havertz headed the ball over the bar. Eze hit the upright. Gabriel hit the upright. And Havertz missed.
Can't blame the manager for that.
No, you can't blame the manager, but we can't also. We have an opportunity now. Yeah, but
it's saying that the chance that Havertz for his first goal. I mean, the tenacity. I'm telling you a little bit about his game. I'm not saying that he's playing to be the other that he had straight at almost at the keeper. You look at Haaland. Haaland gets a chance. He puts it away.
You know, like 2 seasons ago, we looked at Tottenham when Tottenham played City, and Son had that chance against City to equalize, right, or to level the game, and we're all thinking, well, that was the difference between us losing the league and not winning it. I don't want to look back this season and say Kai Havertz headed the ball over the bar. That's the difference in the season. Or, we have an opportunity in these 5.
I just think that I'm more angry about Bournemouth, because when I look at that loss against City, I think that the players tried. They gave their best, but it's obvious to me that this player isn't good in the league. A better player, which is half the job. You've got to be there, but scores from that header. That's what I'm saying, right? That's fine.
Yeah.
They gave their best, but sometimes you just have to concede that your players
and
aren't the best players. And
Ollie Watson,
you know,
Ollie Watkins would have scored there. Erling Haaland would have scored there. You know,
who knows? But what I'm saying is, like,
Ekatike would have scored there. That's the trouble.
If you had a better player, he would run the ball out of play. Things like that. Just use that as an example, right?
Yeah. I'm just saying.
A player that does that. I do like his corners because he can score from corner. I like that attribute. I like that. You know, and for consistency, if to be a cover for your right winger and you have to be consistent, he's had a lot of game time, and he's got a positive attitude. He tries to get forward, but it's getting to the stage where I'm saying, like, he's getting a bit Jovino, a bit of Boué. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That end product's not happening.
I just want to be in a situation where we're not regretting this Kai Havertz misses. We're not regretting. I know this wasn't the game to regret, but we want to make the best use of these next 5 games to put all of that beyond any kind of our talk. And we can talk about it in the summer if and when.
We should have got something out of it.
Yeah.
We managed to lose points against Wolves, man.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
And we were lucky to beat Wolves at home, if you remember the 2 own goals as well.
Yeah.
At home to us, you know.
They even dropped points against Sunderland.
Yes. Sunderland's away at the end. Yes.
Liverpool.
We've had a lot of luck, right? But you can only have, maybe we've used all our 9 lives, right?
Well,
the other goals and some of the magic.
Yeah. When you look at the points that we dropped, we wonder how we're in this position at all. That we have won 21 games, right? Or whatever it is. It's crazy.
That's the hard problem I have with Arteta. Like he has them playing so defensively and so conservatively that they just sit back.
Yep.
And not go for it against teams like Liverpool, Manchester United, Chelsea, Aston Villa. So it's like, at what point does he wake up? And then also, why is he subbing in Icarus at the 80th minute? Why ain't bringing him longer if you're not losing their battle? So that's the issue I have with Arteta. Is that he doesn't sub enough impact players, and if he does, he subs them too late in the game where they don't make an impact.
Yeah,
that's the other issue that's so messed up about this whole thing. Is like, they just gotta go for it and not be so timid.
Yeah, so
that's part of manager's tactics.
We'll see him taking the handbrakes off, Alonso.
Nope, because you're just hitting every time. Just sit back and hope for a corner kick or a free kick or a mistake or own goal. And that's no job of us fans. That's just being realistic.
Yeah.
He does this every time when it matters.
Yeah. And like I was saying before a few minutes ago, you can be disappointed with Mikel Arteta, or you can be positive about what's happened over 6 years. But we all have to get behind the team collectively now until the end of the season, and then the discussions.
And you guys always mention on this podcast about levels. Well, if you're going on that, then at this point, Arteta should win the league and also, go to the league to the Champions League final and win.
Yeah.
Because this team has been in that situation where last year they lost to PSG, which there was a close game, and it went to the very end. And now this team should be able to go to the finals because they have had that adversity now.
Yeah.
Where they lost the semifinals, now it's time to get up and prove to themselves they go to the final and go from there. Because I think it's still winnable.
I think it's still winnable too, because when you think about it, last season we had a lot of injuries. We had a bench full of kids and academy players, yet we were able to point to a few chances in each game that we should and could have taken. If we're just going to need to be clinical in big situations, and big moments in the
And
game. You know what I
to
mean?
Tony's credit, his academy kids came out to play.
Yeah, the academy kids have to play. You know, but we're going to probably get to a situation where we do have a decent bench to look at when Mikel Arteta looks to that bench in the 65th minute of the Paris Saint Germain, not the Paris Saint Germain game, but the
Atletico.
Atletico Madrid game. He's going to be able to look on the bench and see, you know, he might have either a Calafiori or a Hincapi. You know, he could have a Madueke to come on for Saka. We might have options, Stan. You know what I mean? A Dowman, yep. So
I just say
something
as well,
beyond.
when we were talking about and Havertz, for me personally, I just think as a team, I think we look better when Havertz is playing.
Yeah.
I think other players in the team, Gyökeres is playing, there's too much of a shift in a sort of has the strength of his, and it just doesn't. I just don't think that we have when they're with someone that's acting more of a false nine. It seems to suit the overall style of the game. There seems to be more chances, more creation, and I think that's one of the reasons where he done everything he wanted to have Odegaard, Eze, and Havertz in the same team. Because when you have that front three, right, of Martinelli, Gyökeres, and Madueke, it's too wild. That is too wild. That front is too wild.
Unfortunately, when it comes to the forwards, though, they haven't separated from each other. I'll stand by what I said earlier in the podcast. You know, if somebody wanted to go with Kai Havertz, I couldn't disagree with them, because you could make an argument as to why Kai Havertz is better on the day. But alternatively,
but then what happens is you see Kai Havertz in certain, in certain opportunities, and then it makes you realise there was a reason why we went into the transfer market.
Yeah.
So we keep coming back to that, right? And I do think that as a team, when he was in this game, the team's more to the strengths, but the finishing let us down terribly, right?
Yeah.
But then you see some of those finishes that let you down terribly, and a couple of them are Kai Havertz, and you think there's a reason why we decide we all came up we needed to that position.
I just hope.
But yeah, come back to him.
Yeah, I just hope
it's a bit obvious. I don't think the goals as he may have, and that's in all, not just the league. It's still not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. These are the players that we have in our squad. So unfortunately, I hope that despite those players, that they're able to win some silverware this season, a major piece of silverware, if not both of them. You know what I mean? We got a great chance. Still got a great chance that we have to grab with both hands in both competitions. You know, there is no way to tell yet whether it's going to be the Premier League or the Champions League or both or none. You know what I mean? There's no way to know that yet. And that's the thing that really annoys me about Arsenal. Sometimes I wish that they would just make things clear cut and beyond question, without beyond questionability.
If it was like that, Ray, we wouldn't have 91.
We wouldn't have 1991.
We wouldn't have 81. You know, the Liverpool 89. Sorry. 89.
That would be fun to say the number. 89, yeah.
89. You know what I'm saying though, right? We wouldn't have like that if it was just a clear cut. You know, that all happened on the last day of the season. You know?
Imagine, so Stan, imagine this is 1989 right now.
Yeah.
And we're talking after, let's say, after the Derby game, the second to last game of the season. You know, how bad would we be? We'd be like, that's it, it's over. There's no way. And then we play Wimbledon. Then we play Wimbledon midweek before the Friday. You know,
I just think that because as a club, that's sort of a situation, right?
Yeah.
Who's been through that? I think that no matter how bad things look, it's actually impossible. You got to stick with it.
Yeah.
Because there's 38 games in the season, you know, not 32.
Got a couple of questions. I'm like, do you believe that the players have the ability to win 5 games? And these teams are 12.
We're going to find out. We're going to find out, right? We're going to find out who can stand up, who has the mental fortitude. You know, we're talking about some players that may be leaving.
How can you tell though? How can you tell about individual players, Dan? How can you tell if they're not up for the fight? You know what I mean?
Why would you not be up for the fight? You're telling me there's players that are like,
well,
they want it, do, but are they good enough?
How can you tell which players? How can you tell which players are not up for the fight? I mean, it's a team game. They can hide within the team fabric.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
It's hard not because they're more about maybe really ready, scared, want to hide. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I mean. As much as I said about Medareiki, what you can't, what I can't fault about him is that when he gets the ball, he wants to do something positive with it. And it's the same with Dalman. As young as Dalman is, when he gets the ball, he's not looking to kick it sideways or backwards. Find a way to, if it was American football, right, pitch, maybe get into a goal scoring opportunity or to play someone in.
So can I ask a couple of questions then in general, right?
No, you may not, Ray.
I'd make a very boring podcast if I couldn't ask questions. Were you disappointed with the first goal that Arsenal conceded and Eze in that situation? If you remember, it was Nunes. The ball was up in the air. Nunes comes in and chests the ball down past Eze. Eze doesn't really seem to contest.
Just the Turkey goal.
The Turkey goal, yeah. Were you disappointed with that side?
If we had scored that goal, players had done much. I won't stop talking about it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be talking about that player and where he was. I think that you can't. That was that skill. And remember,
yeah, but he should never have gotten the ball in the first place.
He paid for Turkey. He paid like 30 million for Turkey, and
he should never have gotten the ball.
That's what he can do.
Yeah.
But
were you not disappointed?
He shouldn't have got the ball. He did get the ball, because of our mistake. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I was disappointed that
I'd love a player. I'd love to have a player that can do that.
Yeah, but Eze wasn't defensively strong enough in that situation, in that action, for me. You know,
and maybe
that's something that Arteta's been on about. That's something Arteta's been on about. The other thing is, I want to ask you: are there managers out there that could get more out of this team?
I think so. I think Arteta, he stood the ship, and he got the players back in Champions League and all that. He got us into contention. But I think there's a couple managers that had connections at Arsenal who could do really well as a coach here. And we should have won the league 2-3 years ago, the first time we finished second. And it was unexpected, so we got to go at it again, and we were close in as well. But then last year was just a free fall, man. We were, I guess, in first place during the new year, and we just lost control of that, and Liverpool just ran away with it. And this year again, I think it comes down to tactics and the way he manages is just not the way that I would do things, and I'm sure a lot of people can say the same thing. But yeah, I think if any other manager were there, it'd be a lot different to me.
Yeah. Stan?
Ask Tony, man.
I'll get to him.
Okay, let's say the question they're asking me is, right, for whatever reason, and it's because Arteta was fine, suggest manager to come in and lift him right now. I'm not saying that's what I want, but that's what you're trying to ask me. Okay, if I was in that situation, then I would probably say someone maybe as Xabi Alonso, who's available. There was another one as well.
Alonso talked about Seth Fabregas, maybe he was alluding to, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much experience he's had yet, though. Would it be, you know?
In Como, doing good things in Como.
I think he also demands respect from
right?
his players.
Yeah.
You know, maybe
he's a cover captain in Arsenal.
Iniesta wins the Champions League and he's looking for a new challenge. Would that be something?
Yeah.
Worth be looking at?
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Tony, your take?
On what?
Huh? See, Alonso said he should go. Maybe I should have gone straight to Tony while it was fresh. Is there a manager, Tony, out there who could take Arsenal further? Maybe Mikel Arteta's only able to take Arsenal this far, and is there a manager out there that can take us further?
There definitely is, because you have the tools that he was given. You look at it on paper. You look at it on paper, and he just hasn't got hardly anything out of the players that Berta gave him. Those extra players that give you the depth that we've been lacking, and he just hasn't done much with it. He keeps on riding the same horses, puts up the saddle wet, gets on the horse while it's wet, and they're just worn out. That's why I don't see how they overcome being so worn out and they deliver the performance. But to me, I know we're not going to spend the money to get a Simone type manager, but I think that's kind of what you need. Or maybe you can go out there and steal a Vincent company. I don't know.
Oh no.
Yeah, come on, he's already better than Arteta.
Hey, look at Burnley. Look what they got him.
Yeah, he's got really good players. He's got Harry Kane.
Well, it's because he pulled Arteta and coaches where the money's at.
Yeah, Michael Olise. You know, these are the players that are Bayern Munich right now, and I don't know. I think company's doing a good job, obviously, but I don't know if managing's all that. You know what I mean? He's obviously doing a good man.
Look what he did when he was managing in England. He got relegated
with Burnley.
Really?
He got the job after relegating Burnley.
That's wild.
Yeah. It is wild, right? Now maybe he's a man manager. You know what I mean, Alonso? But he's got good players out there who are taking. Bayern Munich
was already established before he got there. Yeah. So
that's
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's a project that has already been established and ready to go. I mean, if somebody would come into Arsenal after Mikel Arteta, you would say the club is primed for a manager to take the project on. Champions League and the Premier League, because we are established.
He did these guy, right? He brought in Harry Kane. He brought in LA.
Yep.
Of him into the first team, so it didn't just. It wasn't like Arne Slot when he came in.
Yeah.
That team basically booked him. Got given 450 million.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, listen, I think we roll it up. We roll this podcast up in a couple of minutes here. Anything else to say, Stan, before we get out of here?
No, not really. I'm looking forward to the next game. I'm still invested. We're on a knife edge now. I spoke to a mate of mine in the States, and he's like, "I'm not watching anymore. I'm done. I'm going to pay attention more to ice hockey." And I'm still thinking, well, it's still on.
Yeah.
This is part of it. Yes, we're making it more difficult for ourselves. We are. It seems like that. Doing it the hard way. Yeah. I think that we've got enough to the final Champions League, because I think that, as I say, football, we might be able to strangle a win over 2 legs against Electric, which is style of football. But in the final, out like being more attacking, score goals, we've got to be, I'm not so sure. But the league, as I said earlier, I think both Arsenal and Manchester City, the teams they're both capable of having upsets and losing points. So, who's going to lose the least?
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Alonso, what have you got to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, like Vic says, it's all to play for now.
Play for.
And as a fan, I'm discouraged because we lost to Bournemouth and then we lost to Manchester City. And before that, we had some losses that were kind of letdowns as well. So it's time that this team go up here and go for it, because people seem to think that this is the last chance we had to win silverware, because the way that we've been playing lately. But I think that the schedule favors us more so than the city. So it's okay for us fans to feel it down, but also we have to be optimistic and pessimistic at times and realize that the season ain't over yet. And also we're doing pretty well in Champions League still. It's ugly, but we're through the semifinals, and it's how they react to doubters to say they can't win it. And I think still we have a favorable chance to win Champions League as well. It's just up to the players, man, and Arteta as well. But yeah, I can't wait to see how the season plays out. I think if we beat Newcastle, then we shouldn't be afraid to beat Fulham as well.
Yep.
And go from there. I'm looking forward to watching the Flyers too.
Yeah, the Flyers hopefully sweep the series on Saturday. Hopefully Arsenal also sweep Newcastle on Saturday. As BX said, it is all to play for, and the excitement can come back into our season. We have been consistent up until the Carabao Cup final. We've been pretty consistent throughout the whole season. We built up this buffer. We hoped that we didn't have to use it, that we'd have enough to get over the line with plenty to spare. Now it's going to be a real test of our mettle, the mettle of the players, and the mettle of the manager to be progressive and going forward and winning games with some goals to spare, because it may well come down to that. I hope Stan is right that there's some points that will be dropped. specifically by Man City, not so much by us, but I'll take City dropping more points than us till the end of the season. Had hoped that we would win this league in style, but some will say beating Man City in any scenario will also be a noteworthy win. You know what I mean? If you beat a Pep Guardiola team, you have to commend yourself with that. Given the qualities that they have and the cloud that still hangs over that club, that's everything that we're fighting. And we're fighting the banter and the media personalities that want to stick it to us each and every time we stumble, and they enjoy it too much. So please, hopefully, Arsenal don't give them too much more, and the players and management now have to stand up. So, Tony, thanks for Tony to be here. Alonso, thanks for dropping in. Also, Stan, thanks for dropping in. What can we do? We just keep on fighting till the end now, right? And we start on Saturday.
Exactly.
Start on Saturday to build up to what could be a huge week. Once again, it could be a huge week. Beat Newcastle, get a very, very good result in Madrid to be able to take the tie back to the Emirates and get to the final of the Champions League, and then continue to beat Fulham on Saturday. Build up that 6 points to make things very, very uncomfortable for Man City with only a few games to go in the season. Anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight, live and also on the rerun. And thanks for being here. We will get out of here. Once again, thanks, Stan, Alonso, and Tony for being here. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.